It was a cold winter evening when Carla and her brother Mike moved into their new home. The house was old, much older than any they'd lived in before, but the price was right and they needed somewhere to start fresh. As they unpacked, they found the usual quirks: creaky floors, cracked windows, but nothing that could have prepared them for what waited in the basement. The basement door stood at the end of a long, dim hallway. Carla had never liked basements. Something about them felt suffocating, as though they held more than just forgotten boxes. Still, they both decided to check it out, hoping to use the space for storage. The stairs creaked beneath their feet as they descended, and the air grew heavier, thick with dust. When they reached the bottom, the faint smell of something sour lingered in the air. They flicked on the light, but it buzzed and flickered, barely illuminating the vast empty room. "Well, this is creepy," Mike said, his voice uneasy. Carla nodded, but before she could respond, something caught her eye. In the far corner of the basement, just out of the reach of the dim light, a shadow moved. It wasn't like a normal shadow. It seemed too dark, too solid, and it was stretching unnaturally across the wall. "Mike, do you see that?" Carla whispered, her heart racing. Mike turned, but the shadow was gone. He shrugged, chalking it up to their overactive imaginations. But Carla couldn't shake the feeling that something was wrong. As she stood frozen, staring at the corner, the shadow slowly reappeared, this time more distinct. It was tall, humanoid in shape, but its edges were blurred, like it was not entirely part of the world. What made her blood run cold, though, was the smile. A wide, unsettling grin that stretched impossibly across its face, the edges curling at the sides, revealing rows of teeth that were far too sharp and far too many. Carla gasped and backed away, but Mike still didn't see it. He was too busy rummaging through some old crates. "Relax, Carla. It's just a shadow." But as the seconds passed, the shadow's grin widened even more, stretching from wall to wall. Carla's heartbeat pounded in her ears, and she felt like something was pulling at her, urging her to get closer to the basement's darkness. Suddenly, the lights flickered and went out, plunging them into complete darkness. Carla froze. Then she heard it. A voice, low and slow, whispering from the dark, so close to her ear. "Why are you running?" Her breath caught in her throat. She could feel the smile growing closer, as though it was standing right behind her. "Mike!" she screamed, but her voice felt weak. Mike finally turned, his eyes wide in panic as he saw the shadow for himself, now towering over them, its smile almost suffocating the space around them. Before either of them could react, the basement door slammed shut with a violent bang, trapping them inside. The shadow stepped forward, its grin never wavering, its eyes black voids that seemed to stare right through them. In the pitch black, Carla's panic exploded. She scrambled for the door, pounding her fists against it, but the shadow's voice echoed again, this time much louder, much closer. "Leave, or join me." Suddenly, the door flew open with a crash. Carla didn't think. She shoved Mike, and they bolted up the stairs, their footsteps echoing in their ears. As they burst into the hallway, the door slammed shut behind them. They didn't speak as they fled the house. Not until much later did they realize the truth. The shadow wasn't gone. It was still there, waiting, in the basement. And it had been waiting for years. Somewhere in the darkness, it was still smiling.